check! Hello guys, before we start the video, I have to apologize because the entire thing is gonna be blurry. So that's fun. Basically this was filmed on a day that I was pre-filming, I think for like 4 videos that day, so me being an idiot, I forgot to refocus the camera in between 2 different videos. So the entire video, I'm a little bit out of focus. Like the products that I hold up are still gonna be in focus, but like my face and my makeup look aren't really in focus. So it doesn't really matter because it's like, that's not what the video is about, but it does bother me because I'm a perfectionist, so I just figured I would throw a disclaimer. Sorry. Thanks. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I'm always like decluttering things behind the scenes. I do get a lot of things sent to me, so I try and filter through and make sure my collection is staying at a manageable rate where I can still like use most things. This weekend though was my first weekend being home from school, so I had like a huge decluttering session, and instead of doing it behind the scenes as usual, I just want to like sit down on camera and show you guys some of the things that I am decluttering, spring cleaning for one reason or another. Most of these I actually like the product, I just don't really need it in my collection, and I have other things I want to focus on, and then some of them are just things I don't like. So it's a lot of eyeshadow palettes just looking at it, but I figured it could be some content. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Full details of this look should already be on Instagram. I think that's all I have to say. Excuse my messy hair. Let's do this. These are going to be in no particular order. I'm just going to kind of go through things I'm getting rid of. This first thing is kind of a long time coming. I've been holding on to this for a long time, and because it has sentimental value, I've just resisted decluttering this until the very last moment, even though I barely ever use it. This is the Jouer Skinny Dip palette. I bought this on the recommendation of Queen and somebody I'm very proud of right now, Nikki Tutorials. And honestly, I do think these are beautiful metallic shades. They're very, very foiled, which is personally what I look for in shimmer shades, and they're so insanely beautiful on the eyes. I don't use this as often as I would like to, A, because they're a bit more on the cool tone side. These are definitely very like silvery slash chromy type shades. Really the shade that has saved this from declutters many times is a shade here called Tan Lines. It's like a greenish gold like money shade. It's so beautiful. But everything else in here I barely use. I was keeping it also for the silver up here because I really did not own any silvers. But I just recently bought this little Tarte palette for the silver in here. And it also has this like really nice kind of bronzy taupey chrome shade, kind of like what's in here. So just to confirm, I did not want to keep this one around. I used it in Get Ready With Me recently. It was beautiful. The shimmer shades perform wonderfully, and this is still kicking, but I just have not been using it. It's such a pretty palette, and I would hate for it to just stay not being used in my collection, so I'm passing this along. Most of the things I decluttered, everything that I bought with my own money and I feel like is in good enough condition to pass along, should be on my Poshmark. Everything else I either give to friends, or if it's like really gross, very bad condition, or I don't feel like anyone will have any fun using it, throw it out. But I really, really hate throwing things away. It's creating waste. So yeah, that's where the things go. And anything that was sent to me in PR that I declutter, I never sell. Alright, what else? Ooh, okay. A questionable decision. This palette from Lancome, the 12 Shades of Love palette. Heart-shaped packaging, so gimmicky, so extra, so much. I can't open it. Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh. What are you... So much wasted space too. I actually think this is a really beautiful color scheme for Lancome, and I do enjoy the mattes in here. The shimmers are really, really lackluster. The mattes are pretty nice. I think I did a look with this one using some of the mattes from Modern Renaissance, some of the mattes in here. I don't like mind this palette. It's just like this serves literally no purpose to me besides having a really beautiful mirror. So I think I'm gonna pass this along to one of my girlfriends for a good Valentine's gift, because this was sent to me, but it's so cute. I was keeping it around because it is adorable, but this is bulky. It takes up so much space in my collection. If you have Modern Renaissance, you definitely don't need this either. So I'm passing along this adorable but utterly useless palette. Alright, so for the past couple months, I've been trying to use up the P. Louise bases I bought early last year. Really just don't love P. Louise as a brand, so I decided I didn't want to repurchase these. But also the ABH eye primer is my favorite, and that I like a lot more than the P. Louise bases. So I've just been like trying to use these up with the intention of like using the ABH base from now on. I made a poor decision of buying 2 of these bases because I was like, you're gonna go through one of them because it's gonna be your holy grail eye primer, and then you're gonna have a backup. Dumb. So I'm getting rid of this backup, and I'm going to finish up whatever's left in here, and then I'm going to just switch over to using the ABH eye primer exclusively. It is a nice eye base. I think it does its job, and it does really help to improve like the pigmentation of shadows, but I think any like kind of wet, sticky, occlusive eye base is going to do that for you. So I don't think that this is necessarily worth the hype at all, and I'm not like actively enjoying trying to use this product up, so I figured I would just pass this one along and finish up whatever's left of the other one. So getting rid of this P. Louise eye base finally. I don't know, man. I can't vibe with this anymore. This is the Pacifica A Light Clean Foundation. It's like almost completely full. This was like one of the foundations I was most excited about trying last year because it's a vegan foundation, like kind of high-end drugstore. It's like $16 or so not high-end. It's also not like a $10 drugstore foundation. This was something I was very excited about as a really awesome, like dewy, luminous foundation option from the drugstore. I think this applies really beautifully on the face. I love how the finish looks on the skin when you blend it out. The problem that I have with this is how it wears. It's just not the most long-wearing foundation, and I really feel like the transferring on this foundation is nothing like I've ever seen before. And I wear dewy foundations on a daily basis. I've never found a like dewy foundation that doesn't like turn the inside collars of my shirts kind of beige. But I do have luminous foundations, the ABH one being my example. It'll transfer onto my clothing, but it won't like show the transfer on my face. It still like looks good on my face. Whereas this will transfer at the smallest touch. Like I could be resting my hand on my face and you would see like fingerprints in the foundation. It's just not a good look for me. This did not pass the vibe check, so I'm passing along this Pacifica foundation. I really like how it looks on the skin at first, and I've tried every method of like setting it down, doing a lot of setting spray, primer, whatever. It just still transfers a ton. I think I've just entered a new era with my lashes and my lash preferences. I used to really like very dramatic lashes. Longer, the more voluminous, the more like fluffy, the better for me. And now I still do like fluffy, kind of like foaming style lashes, but because I have smaller eyes, I feel like whatever eyeshadow I do, or just my eye shape in general, can get really easily overwhelmed by big lashes. Now I go for things that are still fluffy and still kind of like crisscross voluminous, but are a lot shorter. These Morphe lashes, for example, these are the style Temptation. Brand new, haven't used them, but they're basically almost a centimeter long all the way across, which is just way too much for me. These ones from Alter Ego, the plush lashes, are one of my current favorite styles, and these are still like very fluffy. They still look really good with dramatic eye looks, but they're about half the length of the Morphe lashes. They don't cover up all my lid work that I do. If I spend the time doing a very like intricate eye look, I want you to be able to see it behind my lashes. So I decided to go through my collection and get rid of any like huge, gigantic, big lashes that I'm not going to be using anymore, just because I feel like I've really found my niche with what I like in my lash pairs, and it would be this over these. So yeah, purged my lash collection down to a decent amount of things. I still feel like I have a lot of different options, but I don't have a bunch of like super long lashes that are sitting around that I'm never going to use. I recently did a 5 best 5 worst ColourPop video. A lot of people in the comments were talking about the Jelly Mud shadows, which I completely forgot about. I currently own only 3 of these, but I do agree with a lot of people's sentiments in the comments in that these dry out way too quickly for them to be worth it. I keep mine very tightly sealed in a very like dry location, so they have like no reason to be drying out this quickly. This is the shade Big Ego. I bought this sometime last year. I think this is beautiful. And before I declutter it, I'm going to try and resuscitate it. I'm going to add some like beauty oil in here, probably like jojoba or something, to just try and see if I can revive the texture of this shadow. But these were so unique. They're kind of like a cream jelly texture, as the name would imply. But now this one is completely dried out, and I just like the dryness of this makes it very difficult to use on the eyes without getting like flaking and clusters all over you. So Big Ego is my only like dried out shade, but it is less than a year old, and the other 2 that I have are like 1 month old. I have the shade Buttercup as well. This is from the Butterfly collection, and this is actually like not dried out at all. It's still like the perfect texture, so I'm gonna just show you guys. It's like kind of like a moussey jelly texture, whipped. And the Jelly Mud shadows have this really beautiful, ridiculously metallic shine. But this is like a white shade. I don't think I'm ever going to use this, so closing this really tightly. I'm going to pass along this one to somebody who will use this beautiful, like pearly white shade. And then Big Ego, I'm going to do my best to try and revive it, but if I can't, it's probably going to go in the trash. This palette from Makeup Revolution, they sent to me last year, and I've just had it sitting around because I really like this color scheme. I haven't even touched this palette, but it's so pretty. I love the greens in here. Interesting, like taupey, cool tone shades. It's just a very different color scheme. I've had this for 2 months just sitting in my collection, haven't touched it at all, and just like every time I go to do an eye look, I'll open this one and I'll be like, I'm gonna use something else. So that is a message to me that I should probably just declutter this one. In general, I do like Makeup Revolution's colorful matte shades. I think their mattes are actually really nice, especially in their pro line. Their shimmers are not my favorite. I feel like the shimmers are either very lackluster or very crumbly and kind of like a dry texture. So I could see myself really enjoying the mattes in here, but I just think it's not gonna happen, and I would rather give this to somebody completely new than like touch it, play with it once, and then be like, yeah, I'm not feeling this. So I'm gonna get rid of this one. And then also for Makeup Revolution, this is something I did use and I do like. This is the Makeup Revolution Pro Sculpt and Glow Contour and Highlight Brow Palette. I am glad that I was able to test this out for dupe purposes because it's a perfect dupe. That's not it. Perfect dupe of the Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow palette. Hannah, I know you're watching this and shaking your head, but I love this palette. I'm sorry. That's my opinion! Anyways, obviously, this is a dupe of this. I'm really glad that I was able to test this out because I'd love to provide an alternative for this palette. I think this is great. I really enjoy the contour shade in here a lot, and the highlighter is really pretty as well. Very pearly and very subtle, like the Charlotte Tilbury one, but a lot more affordable. So I think this is a great alternative for the Charlotte Tilbury palette, but I have the Charlotte Tilbury palette. I want to use this one up, so having both of these just doesn't really make sense for me. I was able to use this for what was useful for me, which is reviewing it, but now I will pass this along to somebody else. I think the biggest change of 2019 for me was like
big boobs.
I think the biggest change of 2019 for me in terms of how I do my makeup was with my base makeup. And A, I got a lot more into dewy things, and B, I pretty much stopped using powder almost entirely. Now I really only use powder on my under eyes every day, and if I do set down my foundation, I like it to be with a more of like a light, kind of dewy powder. For example, Hourglass Veil, obviously. So I decided to get rid of like most of my loose powders. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna get rid of this one too. Snap decision, I'm gonna throw in my Coty Airspun as well, but I just have like a ton of powder that I'm never gonna end up using. Powder is something that I feel like people can go through very quickly, but for me, I go through them very, very, very slowly because I just don't use them on a daily basis. I'm getting rid of the ColourPop No Filter Setting Powder. This is like a very meh product for me. It's not the best setting powder I've ever tried, but it's also not the worst, and I just don't really need this. Two of these AOA Studio Perfect Setting Powders. I have the Translucent and the Translucent Matte. I just did not really love these, but I've been keeping them because I was like, they were $1, you should keep them. No. Getting rid of this Moira All Day Coating Powder. This I think is actually a very lovely, very fine textured setting powder. But again, I don't set my face every day, so I don't need this. And then Coty Airspun, I do like. It's like a good thing to have if you set your face a lot and you go through powder very quickly because you get so much product in here, but I don't think I'll ever use it up. So I need to get rid of these. 5 powders going. I don't like decluttering skincare very often just because I like having an arsenal. Makeup, I'm more like willing to just like get rid of, but skincare, I'm like, no, but like what if I ever need that one vitamin C serum? That being said, I'm being strong and I'm getting rid of the Drunk Elephant C-Firma vitamin C serum. I just, I love the TLC Framboos Glycolic Night Serum, and I wanted to keep both of them because it's like you're supposed to use them in conjunction, this one at nighttime, this one in the daytime. But this is not my favorite vitamin C serum. I really, really enjoy the ColourPop one a lot more, and it's significantly less expensive. I also really like the Florin B vitamin C serum. I just felt like this has a lot of hype behind it, and I just didn't really see the results happening on my skin. It's also slightly too harsh for me, which is very weird, but I feel like the 4-3 Beauty one, because it's in a biphase oil, the oil just helps to keep my skin a little bit more nourished, and as a result, I still get the potent results, but it's not as harsh on my skin. Next, I'm getting rid of this Coastal Scents Creative Me palette. I liked having this because I love having like affordable, colorful eyeshadows to recommend, but for my purposes, I'm getting rid of this because I have all of these shades in singles from Coastal Scents already, so I really just don't need to have this palette in particular because I have literally the exact same shades in single form. I think until ColourPop comes out with like a Rainbow Brights palette, this is what I would recommend if you want a good rainbow palette under $20 or so. The prime example of why I think high-end mascaras are just never worth it, this Kevyn Aucoin The Expert Mascara. I don't like this. And Smoky Glow also agrees with me. This is just, it's such a mediocre mascara. I really like the brush. It's like a curved, fluffy brush, my ideal type. The formula, though, is not good. I got like smudges on my under eyes every single time I wore this, no matter how much, how little I set my under eyes, what concealer I used. It just looks so very meh on the eye for like a $30 almost mascara. I don't see the worth at all. I will forever be buying Essence Lash Princess, and there are a few high-end mascaras I think are like somewhat worth it. Milk Makeup Kush is great. I think the Hourglass Caution Mascara is like one of the only mascaras I can ever depend on to never ever smudge. Urban Decay Perversion is lovely, and I really like the Grande Lashes mascara I'm trying out right now, but this, I don't see the hype at all. I think a lot of Kevyn Aucoin products are like that for me, where I'm like, why is this so expensive? What was the reason?
What was the reason?
I had a reason.
What was the reason?
I had a reason.
What was the reason?
I'm finally getting rid of this concealer that I've been just like feeling so very about for the past couple months, the Catrice Liquid Camouflage Concealer. This, for a while, I think was like one of my favorite drugstore concealers. And then somewhere along the line, like 6 months ago or so, it just stopped working on me. I don't know what it was, but like sometimes products do that for me where I'll like be loving this foundation for months and then suddenly my skin is like, actually no. It was like one of my favorite drugstore concealers, but like the shade range is awful. It's always been awful, and I just don't like how this looks anymore. It just doesn't sit well for me. So I'm getting rid of this one, and it's kind of weird because this used to be one of my favorites, but it just suddenly ceased to look nice on me. If anyone has ever had that happen to them, please let me know, and if you have any tips for fixing that, also please let me know. This is something that I like wanted to keep around just because I was like, what if you ever need a really bright red blush? But like, never is the answer to that. This is the ColourPop Bretman Rock collaboration. Ooh, She's Blushing Super Shock Cheek. I do like the Super Shock formula of blushes, but this is like a bright red shade, and I like to think that I'm somebody who's adventurous with makeup a lot, but when it comes to blush, I do pink and I do slightly peach. That's pretty much it. I like having this, but I don't think I'm gonna keep it around. I think this would be so beautiful on someone who has a lot darker of a skin tone than me, or just even like a more bronzed skin tone than me. I am pale, so this looks like literally clownery love. So I'm gonna get rid of this one because even though I love the formula and I do like the idea of this, I'm never gonna wear this at all. Hi, plot twist, I also made the executive decision to get rid of one more major thing. I decided to declutter the Too Faced Just Peachy Mattes palette, and I posted it on my Instagram stories and people were like, why? Basically, the main reason I'm getting rid of it is it's way too similar to Modern Renaissance, because the shades are pretty much similar, but I like Anastasia's formula a lot better. But also, it just really was not sparking joy anymore. I definitely think it's a palette you don't need if you have Modern Renaissance. While I do really like the formula, I think that's definitely like Too Faced's best eyeshadow formula. I personally prefer the Anastasia formula a lot better, and I just couldn't really justify keeping both. So we decluttered it and we're keeping it moving. Right, and then the final thing that I'm getting rid of is this Moira Sandcastles in the Sky palette. This is actually super cute. I love the color scheme in here, and you guys know I love Moira's shadows. I also love that they came out with like smaller palettes. This just seems like something I would really, really love, like a 10-pan good color scheme. I just don't find myself using this one. I do like the formula, that's not the problem. I never reach for this at all, and I love the color scheme too. It's just I don't know why I don't use this. Again, kind of like the Makeup Revolution palette that I was talking about earlier. This, I'll be like looking in my collection for something to do an eye look with. I'll like open this up, I'll stare at it for a second, I'll be like, nah, I'm gonna use something else. So that is an indication to me that even though I like the idea of this one, I don't use it. So getting rid of this. Alright guys, that is it. That is my spring cleaning declutter. Just wanted to get rid of some things and share with them on camera. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you are subscribed down below, and also follow me on Instagram to see makeup looks like this posted. And if you made it to the very end of this video, you get the bonus meme. Love you. Bye.
There are some people on this app who are like, oh, would you kill me for $2.7 million? Bitch, I would kill you